Hello everybody and welcome back. I am KRX and we are going to be doing a little bit of a sort of get starting guide slash what we're calling the SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for Athens. Okay, so Athens is a country that we have actually done a full run for on the Twitch channel. We did a timeline of final thoughts discussing and commentating on that run, going for some of the achievements that you get with Athens. Of course, there's a few that are unique. Well, there's one that's unique to Athens called Athens Academical, to get 50 universities as Athens. Essentially what that means is you kind of need to survive, right? You need to survive as a country until the point you get the universities unlocked and then have a large enough country that you can build 50 of them. Otherwise not particularly challenging once you get over that sort of initial, those initial hurdles and stuff, which are going to be kind of an issue probably for the first 50 to 100 years in the game. The other thing that we ended up doing in that run is we got It's All Greek to Me, because we're in a good position here to convert our culture to Greek, and then form Greece, and then we can get the different provinces. There's one in Africa. There's a couple in sort of Western India, and then there's one over here that we're going to need for It's All Greek to Me. And those are a couple achievements that you can essentially get on a run like this. So, but essentially, let's just start looking at what we can do and talk a little bit about sort of the strategy for Athens at the start and such. Athens is kind of an interesting country since we are using all of the DLC. I will throw that in there, and that gives us a particularly interesting mission tree here. And this mission tree, essentially, these missions will ultimately lead to getting a lot of permanent claims over Anatolia, the Balkans, the Holy Lands here, and actually it even sort of comes down here into the Egyptian lands, and also ends up leading over to Tunis and a lot of land over here. So you have a really powerful mission tree. Initially, it's going to want us to actually build up to our force limit with galleys, and then we can actually activate this for an extra 25% galley combat ability whenever we need this, which also gives us free claims over Jerusalem and Aleppo over here. But the cool thing is that's going to be actually particularly important anytime we're fighting many of the potential countries that could have a naval dominance over us, like the Ottomans or the Mamluks. Maybe an early war against Byzantium, we might want something like that just to give ourselves the edge, because of course Byzantium is our overlord, right? So Athens starts as a subject. As we can see up here, we have 17 liberty desires, so we are a subject of Byzantium, and that's actually going to work to our advantage here, because the Ottomans hate Byzantium, right? The Ottomans, they are hostile towards Byzantium. That means that they're actually going to potentially be likely to feel okay in actually allowing us, or they're going to be okay in sort of them supporting our independence. And we're going to have to do a few goofy little things for this to actually sort of get turned around here in terms of them likely to do this. If we could just get rid of that negative 24 opinion, though, that would almost put them in the green there. So a combination of building up our army a little bit, maybe going a little over our force limit just to sort of trick the Ottomans into wanting to do this agreement, and then also sort of just boosting up their opinion and stuff like that. We should be able to get them to support our independence. What else do we got going on? Athens is interesting because we are a Catholic, we're a Catholic crusader state, like we were talking about with those missions. And actually the other missions we have here is if we butter up the papal state, we'll get permanent claims on this entire area here. Essentially, we'll get claims on the archipelago here, and we'll get claims on this sort of lower, this area right here, this area here, and this area here. So that's actually pretty strong. And then I think after that, there's some point where, yeah, exactly, maritime allies. If we butter up whoever controls Malta, which is Aragon in this case, the event will happen that will essentially give us Malta. And giving us Malta essentially gives us the missions to then go to Tunis, but it also gets us a launching off point in Sicily if we wanted to go that route and such. So, and this just is basically to build up naval dominance and stuff. So we need to butter up the Pope, and we need to butter up the Ottomans. I'm actually trying to just sort of think to myself, well, what we can do is we can scornfully, depending on the Ottomans, Austria, the Mamluks, Aragon. Okay, so we could actually scornfully insult Aragon, and that would actually give us a 25, right? If we did this, this would make the Ottomans like us at a plus 25, which is kind of interesting. Aragon's not going to do anything to us. They're too far away to get a casus. I mean, they'll have this casus belli, but I've never seen the AI actually take advantage of that. So we could do this. We have to have positive prestige in order to do this, though. We'll be able to get a little bit of prestige just as we go. And we could do that to give ourselves a little bit of bump. We're going to be doing a lot of scornful insults to try to keep the Ottomans happy, most likely. Initially, though, we just need to set the diplomat to just be buttering up the Ottomans sort of just by default. And it does look like actually buttering up the Pope is going to be pretty critically important too. So we might just do that as a 1-2 punch right there. Because the Pope is going to give us the claims on Byzantium, which is going to be nice. Alternatively, though, to be fair, we're already going to have a CB on Byzantium, which is going to be essentially just declaring for the independence war. One thing to keep in mind is we are going to lose stability when we attack Byzantium, because anytime you attack your liege, you essentially take a -3 stability. So keeping that in mind means we'll probably end up wanting to actually promote admin, except for the fact that we're pretty imbalanced right now. So maybe actually even promoting military is the way to do, or maybe just locking it into place like that will be the best for us. It's hard to say. Our economy is not particularly amazing here. It's not particularly amazing. I think we're going to need to build at least 3,000 troops in Athens. That's going to be tough. And then maybe we'll try to swing around with some galleys or something like that, because we definitely want to get up our galley limit so that we can get this done. But that'll be something we won't need done for a little bit here, since we're not going to be able to actually go to the Holy Lands until we potentially have the Ottomans as an ally to help us. The nice thing is, if the Ottomans do support us against Byzantium, then essentially they are going to be our ally, right? They're going to be upgraded to our ally once that war, once our independence has been achieved. I'm just trying to think if we're going to need our diplomat to do anything else. Yeah, we don't want a royal marriage with Byzantium or anything like that. I think we butter up here. So we are a Catholic nation, but our people here are Orthodox. Now, one of the cool things that Athens has is they start off with +4 tolerance of heretics. So for the most part, the Orthodox people are totally accepted. They're totally accepted. It does not contribute to a negative religious unity. In fact, the only reason why we have a bit here is because of, or I guess it only counts. We only get a portion of the religious disunity, because it's not actually our religion there. So, in fact, I think if we get that up a little bit, it'll go away completely, which is kind of nice. We are actually a Tuscan culture at the start of the game, so we would have to convert to Greek. Which we can do right away, but I don't think we would want to do it once we get the Diplo. But I think for the most part, it makes sense to just kind of keep this the way it is. And well, I don't know, actually, to be honest, it's a fully accepted culture, so we could benefit from the Tuscan culture if we end up taking land over here, which you can do with that Malta jumping off point. You can end up sort of gobbling up some of these Italian lands and stuff like that. What are we going to want to do here? Well, this leader is not particularly good at 220. That is not good. So we could end up just getting that guy on the battlefield. Hey, is a 132. That's pretty good. We'll take that. We could look a little bit at our estates here and see if we could sort these out. Papal influence is very good, but that increases the cost of the curious stuff. We lose a little bit of papal influence to enact that, so we can't even do that right now because we don't have the papal influence. I think for sure we're going to have to seize land, right? Just on the basis that we were below the 30% crownland. This makes it a little bit... see, we don't want to do anything that's going to increase the cost of stability because I think we're going to have to be adding stability soon. So I don't think we want to do that. We're not going to worry about converting our land too much too quickly. This could just be 10-10, right? That just gives us some influence. It gives us some loyalty. This could give us a lot more manpower, which, to be fair, early in the game, I don't know if we're going to be straining our manpower too much. It's going to be kind of a slower roll here, and we're going to be beating up. Ideally, if we can get the Ottoman alliance, we'll be able to just sort of slow roll through, you know, Epirus. We'll be able to beat up Genoa pretty easily. Rhodes wouldn't be too particularly challenging once we had the navy and everything. Cyprus potentially. Venice would be a harder fight for sure. Venice would be one of the harder fights, but we'd maybe want the Ottomans to actually help us with that potentially if we were so lucky. So I don't really know which of these I actually want to hit right now, but I could see us coming back around to increase levies. But I think our economy is going to be important here. Here's where we could actually gain prestige, right? So here we could swing in, get 20 prestige, and we could use that to do a scornful insult. So we're going to have to keep that in mind because that might be something we want to come back around through and do if we ever need to get a scornful insult like at a moment in time. For the most part, I think just giving them the 10-10, right? The 10 influence, the 10 loyalty, that one's going to be easy to add in there. Light ship cost reduction, minus 20%. Ship trade power. I mean, this is good, but to be honest, I don't think we're going to be building. I'll get it anyways, but... oh, this is kind of interesting here, because we could do +2 heretics, +2 heathens. And it's only -10 loyalty for the clergy, which is at 43 right now. The influence is at, and it says 5%. That seems very low because of -15% from state religion not dominant. Ooh, interesting. That could actually be really, really good because if we did this, I think would make our religious unity go back up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that this time. We're going to need to get rid of some of these eventually and soon, but let's see what that does over here. Yeah, that makes it there. So that actually means that there is no more hit to religious unity. And when we unpause the game, maybe this will come back up to 100%. We'll have to see on that. But it's no longer doing a religious unity hit. So that's actually kind of nice. I don't think I actually did that last time we were playing Athens. So we have the estates mostly set there. We are, of course, a subject. There's not much to do with that. We don't have the actual military power. I don't know why we have 42 instead of 70. I don't know what's going on there. We could roll a general though, once we get a little bit more if we need to. But our king is actually pretty good, so we don't have to do anything crazy with that. We kind of know a sense of what's going on with the missions. We're buttering up the Pope so that we can get these free permit claims here on all of this area. We are thinking about potentially building up our navy, and we'll be able to get that and use that as needed. That's right. We could look at our trade situation here. We could also, it might be a little bit before we actually use our army, so actually reducing the maintenance there could just make us turning a slightly larger profit for a moment. Of course, we're an Italian, Tuscan culture, Crusader state, so we've talked about that a little bit, how that's kind of different. Let us go to the trade map mode. I think this might be the last thing. We just need to make sure we're kind of being logical here. We are collecting, we have a trade center. Athens is an important center of trade in the Ragusa node. So I think we just want to have a dude collecting there, and I think that'll increase things slightly. Collecting, we have 0% in Constantinople, so there's not going to be any benefit to that. We could look at our ships really quick and see if we start with a light ship or not. We do start with one light ship, and we could see, is that going to be better in Constantinople or is that going to be better in Ragusa? It says... I don't know if this is actually accurate. It says how would it go down? I think it's probably better to have it in Ragusa since we have, I don't know, some power there, and that's where we actually collect directly. So we'll stick with that. I don't think we're going to get any advisors, but at least it is good to note. Let's check this guy here, diplomatic reputation. So having an additional reputation could be the difference in actually being able to get this alliance. Sorry, the support independence, right? So our diplomatic reputation right now gives us a +4. So presumably if we got that guy, we would get to +4 more. So we're getting a +4 at 0.99. Actually, our legitimacy is going down. That's probably because we're a subject, right? We have negative prestige. Negative prestige, we're a subject. So hopefully we could actually add +4 to this number, which is really good. So if we get rid of that -24, we reduce the Athenian army strength just a touch, and or maybe even build up the navy or something like that. We get our we get a little bit of a positive opinion. We get that diplomatic reputation, statesman, right here, and that could be how we get the Ottomans to support our independence. So thanks everybody for hanging out and checking out this episode. We've talked a little bit about Athens, sort of. We haven't actually talked. Let's talk a little bit about sort of what the strategy we're going to do. We're going to execute a little bit of opening moves in the next episode, but we've got the country primed and ready to go. We've set up our diplomats. We've talked about trade. We've talked about the situation. We know we need to butter up the Ottomans. We've started our production and things like that as well. Essentially what we're going to try to do is we're going to get them to support our independence. There's going to be a little bit more of a sort of a trick to that, though, in the sense that the Ottomans are going to expect land, and we certainly don't want to give them any of the Byzantine land. So we're going to be very, very careful to see who these guys ally. A lot of the times I notice they either ally Wallachia or they ally Moldavia. I think they can actually ally Albania as well. That would be interesting. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the Ottomans get the land from the ally, right? We're going to make sure that we step on here first. We're going to make sure that we're occupying all of these locations and that we control the siege of Constantinople. Because we do not want them, we don't want the Ottomans to think that they deserve Constantinople and therefore expect it in a war. Because that's going to be something that we're going to try to get ourselves. It is true that the Ottomans do definitely desire this land, right? If we go here, they radically desire all this land. Vital interest to them. However, if they're allied to us and we keep them above 100 opinion, and then we take this land, this should downgrade to a yellow. This should downgrade to a yellow, and we should be able to maintain the alliance anyways. But we also need to just make sure that they're not expecting this land by going in and setting our own diplomatic preference and telling them, hey, we want this land. Now, we can't do that right now. We can't do that right now because the Ottomans will kind of notice that it'll kind of put us at odds. So we're going to do that right before we declare the war, and that will let them know that this stuff is off limits, and then hopefully they'll essentially desire land from Wallachia and Moldavia and some of these other, they just want it all, right? Ottomans just want it all. In fact, they're militaristic, which is kind of a problem. Ideally, I think if they were diplomatic, it makes it a lot easier too, but they are militaristic, so that could be a problem. But I'm pretty sure when we did this, they were militaristic almost every single time. So it is what we're going to do is still going to work out just fine. Guys, thanks everybody for watching this sort of get started SWOT analysis for Athens, a run that would lead to Athens Academical, one of the more interesting achievements runs that you can go for. And also we will be doing the opening moves in the next episode. So thank you everybody for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.